Back in middle school, I was part of a small group tasked with turning off computers at the end of the day. Those had been left on. The teachers told the students usually to turn them off, and they usually did. There's always some that were left on. It makes me wonder why. Did the people not care, or did they just forget? And this sometimes continues into adulthood for some of us. We're told to turn off things like the electricity, like turning off our computers and the lights. We're told to not run water when we're not using it. And we're told that it's going to help the environment, it's going to save us money. But we don't always see the results of it. There's not this big black cloud of smoke above our house when we come home and we discover we accidentally left the lights on. In countries like Brazil, Peru, and Argentina, they were found to be pretty concerned over climate change in a Pew Research poll in spring 2015. Countries like US, Russia, and Japan, they weren't found to be as concerned. Only 42% of Americans were found to be concerned. They saw it as a threat. Mark Urban with Science Magazine found that South America, Australia, and New Zealand were at risk of extinction. They had the highest risk of extinction of species. This is only accelerated by the influence of climate change, so it's fitting that these countries are concerned over it. They're also not big consumers, as found by the World Bank. And the Department of Energy shows that in the US, we consume about 16.7 metric tons of CO2 per person. And in Brazil, that's only about 2.3, which is a lot less. So we should feel a little bit more responsible, because we're the big consumers, not them. So they can't really do as much. A Pew Research poll in 2016 found that 42% of Americans believed climate change will cause damage to the environment. They also asked how we should address it, and I believe that what the people said there is probably a good solution. They kind of tended not to say that individual changes were the thing that we need to start doing, but more regulations towards limiting the amount of CO2 emitted. And with this, there's no need for drastic changes in our day-to-day lives. It's more so a regulation and systematic change. In 2009, leading up to the UN Climate Change Conference, Pew Research did another poll. They found that 21 out of 25 of the nations that they surveyed had a majority of the people believing that Obama could enact more measures towards limiting emissions. And he did. In 2014, Obama, through the EPA, forced new rules out that would cut carbon pollution from coal power plants by up to 25%. And considering that coal power plants are one of the most major emitters that we have, that's a pretty big change. With these kind of things, there's no real need for huge individual change. We don't need to recycle every little thing we can find. It's more of a systematic thing. We don't need to change every day. And if you're invested, I think that you should keep pushing for these regulations. You should go out and elect leaders that have similar beliefs to you, those that will push the legislation as well. Even if it looks bad today, we can still keep going. And I'm not going to ask you to stop recycling, but you could still be part of something bigger even while doing that. You could push for these things.